Morning, Martha.
Hi.
How you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good,
yeah,
good. It's a bit noisy here, but thank you for joining us on the EastEnders Effect podcast. I was cycling to work, and I saw you with your son putting up posters about the roundabouts. That's what we're going to talk about today, and also maybe a little bit about your life here in East London.
That sounds great.
So maybe start with the petition and what inspired you to put up that poster about Bow Roundabout.
Yeah. Well, as you said, we're on this sort of beautiful space right now on the roundabout, and I guess I'm being sarcastic because it's one of the sort of journeys I make every day with my son going into school. We travel from Bow in the west into Newham on the east to go to a fantastic new school that was built a couple of years ago, School 360. But the experience of crossing this roundabout every day is quite frankly terrifying, as well as just being really unpleasant. It's used by loads of members of the community, so you're often seeing families with kids crossing here every day. Also, you've got places of worship, you've got a mosque over there, a couple of churches, you've got the Bow Bells, of course. Lots of new buildings and blocks going up. So this is actually it's a residential space. There's lots of pedestrians, and there's just like not enough sort of safety provision, I think, on this roundabout. Yeah. So I'm really passionate about like making a change that's quite pragmatic, not too expensive, nothing that will disrupt motorists, but will create a more pleasant space and environment, and hopefully a much safer one as well.
Yeah, that's amazing, and also inspirational because we were saying just as we were meeting that I've lived here for years and cycled to work in London, and this actually used to be quite worse. I think it was the hotspot for cyclist deaths in London at one point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just interesting. What inspired you to think this could actually be better? Did you see places like this be better elsewhere? I'm sure the microphone's going to pick us up.
Yeah, we got some nice sirens going. Well, I thought, like, to begin with, like, I think one of the things that I was thinking about here is that when motorists come up off the A roads, it doesn't look like a space that is one that has pedestrians in it. So I think there's a mindset thing for drivers coming into this environment that it looks like very much like a car space, and so I did spend some time looking at and talking to a landscape architect about ways that you can change the way spaces look and feel to shift awareness, shift mindsets, and make more beautiful environments. And so one of the places I looked at in Amsterdam, they've done some amazing work with sort of murals on underpasses like this, where you can go to my website, check out some of the pictures on bowroundabout.com. But by painting murals on the underpass with different colours, it just lifts the space. It would make drivers aware that this is a different environment from an A road, and I think make it a place that we can all be proud of as residents of Tower Hamlets as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I know there are subtle differences you can put on curbs and stuff just to shift the motorist perception that there are pedestrians also using this space.
Definitely, there's been some really interesting stuff with pavement art and road art as well that you can see in different places in London. Over in Stratford, there's some nice stuff they've done to the crossroads outside Westfield that we could get some inspiration from. I know that one of the things you have to be careful around that is around people with visual impairment. Exactly. So you need to be really careful about how you do it, but potentially on this central space you can make some really nice art just for the pedestrian zone that's maybe designed by school kids or something to lift the environment too.
Yeah, it feels like an underused, unthought of, unloved place in some respects. Is that right? Because you're also talking about the plants, which yeah.
They're a bit sad, aren't they? But I mean, it's nice, it's fun. Like, I think, and you said to me earlier, like, it used to be worse than this, and I think there was some really good work done about 5-6 years ago, maybe a bit before, to put in a few crossings and put in some cycle lanes and put in these planters, which have the potential to be really nice, but I think they're just not kept up in the right way. And you'll not be able to see on the film, but like just behind you over there, there's like a crashed up car that was like left there about a week ago. It's still there, it's sort of, it's a space that's not given much love. I met our London Assembly member out here a few weeks ago, Umesh, and he was telling me some stories as well. Apparently the Cray brothers' final victim, the rumours have it that they're buried under this underpass. It was being built as the flyover and the underpass were going up.
Oh dear, that's a bit of the legacy of East London for you,
yeah,
isn't
let's
it?
transform that.
Yeah, and tell news stories, and as you say, from like local kids to put their own footprint here as well.
Exactly. Actually, another lovely idea that Unmesh had was each of these pillars could be painted by a different local school. So you can make it a place that kids can come and sort of identify, visit, recognise and have a part in creating as well.
And I wonder if that's important because as someone who's lived in East London all my life, like some of the transition and the new builds we see, there's a bit of change, and sometimes how do you weave incumbent existing people into something that's also changing and growing? And so I think if kids who've lived and grown here can't see themselves, then that a little bit that is lost. So I think that's a really good idea.
I think that's a really important point, isn't it? Because there's this sense of you can feel displaced if you've been here, this has been your home for like decades, generations potentially. There's all these new builds going up. How do you sort of bridge that sort of the communities who have lived here for many, many years with the newer communities coming in and make it a space that's for everyone?
And it'd be interesting to go a little bit into your history here in East London. So how long have you lived here? Where did you come from? How are you finding things?
Yeah, I love it. I've only lived in Bow for about 6 years since my son was born. But I was brought up under the other flyover on the west side of London and the Westway, so I always feel like a real Londoner. I just love flyovers. No, when we sort this one out, I'm going to go over to that one and see what we can do over in the Westway. But so I feel like Londoner through and through. But it's been really fantastic moving into this area. There's such great communities in the space. It is evolving, changing. We've got lovely parks, great shops, like I say, like real rich environment. The River Lee, of course, with all its history going on, things like the Matchstick Factory, but also we can see over here the Olympic development as well. So
a lot going on.
Vibrant.
And you were talking about, you even work in East London as well, in Old Street, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's with Sage, which I know quite well as a PhD researcher. So
I love hearing that.
If you don't mind going into a little bit about that and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So Sage is an academic publisher, so we publish books, journals, digital resources for sort of university students, lecturers, academics. So huge amount of research in the area of health that you're familiar with. And my role, I look after the sort of product innovation group, which is who the product managers and UX designers responsible for all those online experiences. So when you're searching for a journal article, you're searching for a piece of research, you're looking for somewhere to publish, we're designing those systems and those online experiences to get you there and help you find it. We've done loads in sort of some digital innovation, looking at new ways that teaching and learning can happen online as well. We've got some amazing video collections, looking at VR and AR experiences. So it's a really cool place to work. Amazing.
And looking at that digital innovation, is it you are trying to build the marketplace for people to come in, or you're trying to build the platform, or you're actually trying to build the products? It'll be interesting to get a bit.
Yeah, a bit of all of that actually. So I think one of the things, so Sage was founded in 1965 by a woman called Sarah Miller McCune, who founded Sage to respond to what she saw as some really exciting areas of new interdisciplinary research, areas of study like race studies, gender studies, urban studies, research methods that the big publishers weren't addressing. She was very passionate about sort of social justice issues, and so created a sort of books and journal program around these areas. As we've grown, that sort of thread of innovation and like wanting to partner with the academic community, with the university community, with libraries to explore ways that research is changing, that education is changing, and think about what we can do to produce products to support that. So with the pandemic and everyone going online suddenly, things like online videos to support teaching and learning, digital books rather than the print, looking at ways to improve that sort of access experience so it's easy to log in and get into your systems. That sort of stuff is what we look at, sort of working with libraries, working with academics to understand how the world is changing, what new needs are emerging, and then what we can build with it, create with them.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, my login experience with Sage is amazing because my university open Athens account, just one login and I'm good to find my journals, etc. I really didn't mean to go into this, but it's just sparking lots of other thoughts. So 2 questions. One, on librarians and particularly the pandemic. So for some students who have to access documents and texts and transcripts that are physical, are you looking at digitalising those things, or is that actually that's a big part of what we do too.
So we create. So one of the things we do is we create sort of digital collections. One of the big collections that we have worked to digitise with the British Library is the mass observation archives. I mean, we've got tons of different archives, but that's a really fascinating one. It's sort of observational research that was done in the second half of the 20th century, looking at how people live and documenting the lives of ordinary people, what people keep on their mantelpiece, what people keep, and those physical notes, those physical photographs, are all things that we've been working to digitise to put online and make available. But the library, the libraries were incredible during the pandemic, incredibly resilient. They'd done so much already to digitise, to make sort of digital collections available, and then they really pivoted to work so closely with faculty to look at how the teaching needs were changing, and trying to get new resources digitised and online and available for students incredibly quickly. I was just in the US last week speaking with some librarians, and they were telling me about the curbside pickup stuff that happens a lot more in the US, where there's a lot more driving. Students would register to borrow certain books. The librarians would put them in bags. They'd be quarantined for a bit, put them on the curbside, and the student would drive by and pick up their books.
Drive-by pickups.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Americans are also a little bit lazy with their cars. I'm sorry, I can't say that. Yeah, anyway.
Bigger space, you need the car off.
Yeah.
Although it'd be nice to see more cyclists, but.
I know. I mean, whenever I'm in the States, the roads are built for cars. Anyway,
they are.
The last selfish question
Go on.
related to Sage. So I have 2 children, a 4-year-old daughter and a 9-month-old son.
Oh,
and
congratulations.
thank you. Sleeping with him at night, it's easier on my phone to read stuff, etc.
Yeah.
Is there an app experience for journals coming? Because it's pretty difficult on PDF sometimes on the phone, and it feels like it could be a little bit more smoother or.
Yeah, with our journals site, about 14% of people are accessing it at the moment through mobile. And one of the things that we've done is, for most of the majority of the content is all digitised to display XML. So you should be able to read it on our platform, or just in it's sort of responsive view. So you should be able to all read it on the screen in the mobile view. So don't download the PDF, just read the full text online.
Okay, cool. All right, back to Bo.
Yeah.
What's next? The petition is closed. What are you hoping for? You've spoken to the assembly members and councillors.
Yeah.
What's next? Hopefully?
Yeah. Well, I've been learning. This is the first time I've done a campaign like this, and I've been learning a lot about local politics, how you get stuff done, like campaigning. And this roundabout is super complex because the west side is Tower Hamlets, the east side is Newham, and the middle of it is TfL. So it's been a bit of a challenge trying to figure out who's responsible, who can make a decision about this roundabout. So, like you said, I've done the petition in Tower Hamlets. It's closed, and it's fantastic. I heard yesterday that I'm going to be able to go with my partner in crime on the roundabout, like Abdi, to go and present to the Tower Hamlets Council, which will be fantastic to be able to do, and to petition them to contact TfL. Umesh has been really supportive, and we're hoping to set up a meeting with TfL. But it looks like it's all about aligning forces to come and have a good conversation with TfL and hopefully get some funding from them.
Amazing. So this is your first campaign. Have you caught a bit of a campaign bug, do you reckon? Or?
Yeah, well, one of the things actually that I've been involved in at School 360 is the co-head teachers there have set up a new community panel, which is looking at bringing together parents, teachers and members of the local community to look at issues around social justice, challenges we're seeing in the local environment. And I've just started chairing that panel, and I'm really excited about that and about what more we could do in this area, because it's so important. You've got such extremes of wealth and poverty in Tower Hamlets. You've got from the Isle of Dogs, and Canary Wharf, obviously, through to the areas near us. And it's really important that we can build a really positive, collaborative, vibrant community, I think, and so yeah, I'm up for it. Let's do some more campaigning to make sure that happens.
Amazing. Look forward to seeing where your campaigning journey might take you in the future potentially. But Martha, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
I think we've got to get to work, but very nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you.